Have you ever felt fear quietly creeping into your mind, like a storm gathering on the horizon? It might be the dread of an upcoming dentist appointment, the jolt of midnight thunder, or the gut-wrenching worry of losing someone you love. Fear is a natural response that warns us of danger, and anxiety is its close cousin that fixates on what could go wrong. These feelings are normal and even useful in moderation. But when fear and anxiety become constant companions that hold you back from living your life, it's time to take action. The ancient Stoic philosophers, thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, dealt extensively with fear and uncertainty. They developed practical techniques to maintain inner strength amidst life's storms. In their view, while we can't control everything that happens to us, we can control how we think about it and how we respond. By adopting a Stoic mindset, we can learn to face fear and anxiety with greater courage, calm, and wisdom. In this guide, we'll explore 5 Stoic principles to help conquer fear and anxiety. Each principle comes with insights and examples to show how you can apply it. Let's dive in and discover how to turn these ancient teachings into tools for a stronger, more resilient life. 1. Understanding anxiety and our vulnerability. Life is a fragile dance of moments, and deep down we all know how vulnerable we are. Anxiety often springs from this awareness. It's that inner voice whispering, "What if I'm not good enough? What if everything falls apart?" Far from being a personal flaw, this worry about our fragility is a universal human experience. We fear failure, loss, and the unknown. As Marcus Aurelius wisely noted, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." He wasn't trying to frighten us. He was reminding us that life is short and tomorrow isn't promised. This truth isn't cause for despair. It's a call to live with purpose today. Yet facing our own vulnerability can be frightening. When the weight of life's uncertainty becomes too heavy, many people look for an escape. Consider a young mother who has gone through a divorce and is now raising 2 children on her own. Every day she worries about making ends meet and coping with loneliness. At first, she finds relief in a nightly glass of wine to calm her nerves. But one glass soon becomes 2. Unfortunately, this escape creates new problems. The more she numbs her anxiety, the more disconnected she becomes from her children and her goals. In trying to avoid her vulnerability, she loses touch with what truly matters to her. The Stoics understood this trap. They didn't deny that life is unpredictable or painful at times. Instead, they taught that it's not events themselves that cause our suffering, but our responses to them. We may not control life's storms, but we can control how we navigate them. Think of a small boat on a rough sea. You can't stop the storm, but you can adjust your sails. Anxiety is like that storm, an inevitable part of life's weather. Hiding below deck, through denial or distraction, might feel safe for a while, but it doesn't calm the waves. Real strength comes from facing the storm, steering your ship through it. In practice, this means accepting what you cannot change and focusing on what you can. Ask yourself, what exactly am I afraid of, and can I control any part of it? Often, our deepest fears involve things beyond our control. Stoicism encourages us to let go of those worries and pour our energy into what is within our power, our own attitudes, choices, and actions. Now imagine the young mother tries a different path. Instead of reaching for a bottle, each night she spends a few minutes in quiet reflection. She writes in a journal about the day's challenges and also notes any small victories. She acknowledges her fears but also reminds herself of her strengths. At first it seems trivial, but over time this habit becomes her anchor. Life's chaos hasn't disappeared, yet she feels less adrift. She's more present with her children and more confident about handling whatever tomorrow brings. By confronting her anxieties instead of numbing them, she transforms her fear into resilience and hope. Recognizing our vulnerability is not weakness. It's part of being human. When we stop running from fear, we can face it with courage and compassion. Life's uncertainty can be frightening, but it's also what makes each moment precious. The Stoics remind us that we're defined not by our fears, but by how we respond to them. Every surge of anxiety is a chance to practice resilience. So next time fear strikes, see it not as an enemy, but as a teacher pointing you toward growth and strength. 2. The role of courage in facing challenges. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the resolve to act in spite of fear. Importantly, courage is very different from recklessness or naivete. True courage comes from clear awareness, not ignorance. A reckless or naive person might rush into danger simply because they don't see the risks. A courageous person, by contrast, recognizes the risks fully, but chooses to move forward anyway, guided by their values and wisdom. The difference between courage and naivete is all about perspective. Naivete is rooted in blindness to danger, while courage acknowledges danger and yet refuses to be paralyzed by it. Imagine standing before a dark forest path. The naive person might charge straight in without thinking, unaware of the possible pitfalls. The courageous person feels the fear of the unknown that lies ahead, but after thoughtful consideration, decides to proceed because they know what they want to achieve or what must be done. The Stoics believed that this kind of bravery lays the groundwork for true freedom, because when you have courage, fear no longer dictates your choices. Seneca, a famous Stoic philosopher, advised that we not let worries about the future rob us of living in the present. In practice, courage often means focusing on what we can do right now rather than becoming frozen by what might happen later. When we act with courage, we accept that the future is uncertain, our plans might succeed or they might fail, but we move forward because we know that not acting at all would be worse. In other words, courage is a commitment to action despite uncertainty. A powerful real-world example of courage, as opposed to naive optimism, is the story of Ernest Shackleton. In 1914, explorer Ernest Shackleton and his crew of 27 became stranded in Antarctica after their ship, the Endurance, was trapped in the ice. Shackleton knew their situation was dire, but he refused to panic. Instead, he organized a daring plan to cross the ice and open ocean to get help. His clear-eyed bravery and leadership kept the crew going through months of freezing hardship. In the end, every man survived. Shackleton's story shows that courage isn't about assuming everything will be fine. It's about facing a harsh reality and still saying, "We'll find a way through." Why is cultivating courage so important for overcoming fear? Because fear feeds on uncertainty and the feeling of helplessness. The unknown can loom larger in our minds than it really is. Courage cuts through that illusion by prompting us to act. When you're courageous, you tell yourself, "I may be afraid of what could happen, but I'll handle it if it comes. I won't let fear make decisions for me." The Stoics taught that we cannot control everything that happens to us, but we can always control how we respond. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." It's a perfect motto for courage. Focus on controlling your own mind and actions, and let go of what you can't control. Each small act of bravery, whether it's speaking up despite your nerves or taking on a new challenge, weakens the hold of fear. By practicing courage consistently, you train yourself to face uncertainty with confidence rather than dread. Over time, you'll find that even if things don't always go perfectly, you emerge stronger for having tried. In this way, Stoicism encourages us to make courage a habit, turning fear from a barrier into a catalyst for personal growth. 3. Effective approaches to overcoming fear. When fear and anxiety grip us, they often feel like a massive shadow that's hard to define or escape. The Stoic approach to handling fear is very practical. Break the fear down into specific pieces you can manage, and then tackle those pieces one by one. In doing so, you take control of your response and shrink that overwhelming shadow into something much smaller. As Marcus Aurelius observed, if you are distressed by something, it is not the thing itself that troubles you, but your opinion of it. In other words, our fear often comes not just from the situation, but from how we perceive the situation. By analyzing and reframing our worries, we can change that perception and find a way forward. The first step is to pinpoint exactly what you're afraid of. For example, suppose you have a big presentation at work. That single big fear actually contains specific worries, maybe about your material, public speaking itself, and handling questions. You can tackle each part, improve your content, rehearse your delivery, and plan how to handle any questions. It's okay not to have every answer on the spot. By addressing each piece, the overall challenge becomes much less intimidating. What once was perceived as a looming disaster, "I'm going to fail and embarrass myself," can be transformed into a series of manageable tasks. I can make my slides clearer, practice out loud, and be honest if I don't know an answer. Another helpful approach to fear is gradual exposure. Rather than run away from what scares us, Stoicism and modern psychology suggests we face our fears step by step. Think of it like wading slowly into cold water. You give yourself time to adjust. If you're afraid of heights, you might start by looking out a second-floor window, then progress to standing on a higher balcony, and eventually visit a tall observation deck. Each small step teaches your brain that the threat isn't as catastrophic as it imagines, and you build confidence along the way. By proving to yourself bit by bit that you can handle it, the fear loses much of its grip on you. A shining example of this principle is Bethany Hamilton, a young surfer who lost her arm to a shark at age 13. Just 1 month after her injury, she bravely returned to the ocean and learned to surf with one arm. She faced her fear of the water step by step. 2 years later, Bethany won a national surfing title. Her story shows that confronting a fear head-on can lead to incredible triumph, turning fear into strength. Every time we confront a fear, we gain proof of our own capability. Often you'll feel a wave of relief or pride afterward. That's your mind rewarding you for overcoming a challenge. Over time, these victories build self-esteem. In contrast, if you always flee what scares you, you teach yourself that you can't handle it, and your world shrinks as your fears grow. The Stoics noted that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. When you finally face the real thing, you usually find the worst scenarios don't happen, and even if something does go wrong, you can handle it. Next, we'll see how consistently facing fears can make you stronger in both mind and body. Fourth, psychological and physical benefits of embracing challenges. Facing challenges head-on can be surprisingly good for you. When you tackle obstacles instead of avoiding them, one key payoff is a boost to your mental strength and confidence. Think of the rush of pride or relief you feel after completing a tough task. That's partly your brain rewarding you with a hit of dopamine. Each time you overcome adversity, you add to your confidence. Unlike a confidence boost from a lucky break or flattery, the confidence you gain by overcoming challenges is solid and lasting because you earned it. Embracing challenges also expands your comfort zone and reduces long-term stress. If you always avoid stress, even small problems can hit you hard. But if you face challenges regularly, you teach yourself that not every difficulty is a disaster. For example, someone who repeatedly practices public speaking usually finds their stage fright diminishes over time. Their heart may still race, but they know it won't kill them. In fact, a moderate dose of stress can actually make us stronger. The Stoics knew this long ago. By challenging ourselves deliberately, we build character and lessen our fear of future hardships. Terry Fox was 18 when bone cancer took his right leg. Rather than give up, he set out to run across Canada on a prosthetic leg to raise money for cancer research. In 1980, he began this marathon of hope, running close to a marathon a day for months. He covered over 3,000 miles before his advancing illness forced him to stop. Although Terry couldn't finish his cross-country run, he succeeded in inspiring an entire nation and raised millions for research. To this day, annual charity runs in his name continue his mission. Terry's story shows that even the most daunting challenges can bring out extraordinary courage and create a positive impact far beyond oneself. Facing challenges can yield physical benefits too. The Stoics knew that voluntarily enduring small hardships makes you tougher. The philosopher Seneca, for example, would take cold baths and sleep on hard surfaces occasionally to train himself to endure discomfort. Modern science has a term for this effect: hormesis, small doses of stress that make the body stronger. A brief cold shower, for instance, can stimulate the immune system, and lifting weights builds muscle by first straining it. In short, challenge your body a bit and it adapts by becoming tougher. In summary, when you embrace challenges, you gain confidence, courage, and even some physical hardiness. Obstacles become stepping stones to a more resilient life. So the next time you face a challenge, remember, by confronting it, you're not just solving that problem, you're training yourself to be stronger. That mindset is a powerful tool to conquer fear and anxiety. 5. Putting Stoic principles into practice. Insight only matters if it's applied. The Stoics were all about practical wisdom, turning theory into action. Ultimately, handling fear comes down to how we manage our own mind in each moment of challenge. This final principle is about self-awareness and disciplined action, observing yourself clearly and making small daily efforts to improve. Begin with self-observation. When fear or anxiety strikes, take a mental step back and simply notice what you're feeling and thinking without judgment. Imagine observing your worry the way a scientist observes an experiment. This little bit of distance keeps you from being swept away by emotion. In that calmer space, you might also notice that even while you're afraid, you're still doing courageous things. Maybe you got out of bed despite feeling low, or you spoke up about something important even though you were nervous. Recognizing these quiet acts of bravery reminds you that fear hasn't defeated you. Part of you is always strong. As the Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl noted, even in the worst circumstances, we retain one freedom: to choose our attitude. He observed that those who survived the camps were often the ones who found meaning in their suffering and held on to hope. Frankl's lesson is extreme but powerful. We can't control everything that happens to us, but we can always control how we respond. That perspective is at the heart of Stoicism. Focus on what you can control, your attitude, effort, and choices, and let go of what you cannot, other people or fate. 1. Morning reflection. Each morning, imagine a few things that could go wrong, e.g., heavy traffic or a difficult meeting. This Stoic practice of negative visualization prepares your mind. If problems arise, you won't be surprised. You'll be ready to handle them calmly. Second evening review. Each night, review your day. Ask yourself what you did well and where fear held you back. Note any instance where you avoided something due to anxiety, or conversely, acted bravely. This reflection helps you learn and see your progress over time. 3. Mindful action. Whenever anxiety builds, take a small positive step. Instead of freezing, do something simple to address the issue. For example, if you're worried about a test, spend a few minutes reviewing your notes. Even a tiny action shifts your focus from worry to problem solving and reminds you that you have some control. In the end, applying Stoic principles is like building an inner fortress. Each small victory adds to your strength and proves that you can handle setbacks. There's a saying attributed to Seneca: "Throw me to the wolves, and I will return leading the pack." That's the kind of resilience you are cultivating. By training yourself in this way, you're essentially telling fear, no matter what comes, I can handle it and come back stronger. The ultimate reward isn't a life with no storms, but becoming a person who can sail through any storm. If you've made it this far, then you've already taken the most important step. You've chosen to face your fear instead of running from it. Life will never stop bringing challenges, but that's not a curse. It's an opportunity. The Stoics taught us that true strength isn't the absence of fear, it's the ability to act despite it. Living with courage, awareness, and discipline is a daily practice. Every moment you resist anxiety, push through doubt, and choose action over avoidance, you're building your true self. If this video inspired you, subscribe to the Be Stoic channel. You'll find more powerful videos to strengthen your mind, awaken your purpose, and remind you that the control you seek is not out there, it's within you. Share this video with someone who needs it, and leave a comment below. Which of the 5 Stoic lessons spoke most deeply to your experience? Until next time, live with courage, think with clarity, be Stoic.